Welcome to another episode of Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. I am your host, Branden Hudson, and we have the pleasure today of having one of my good friends and somebody that I've, grown fond of over the past, 6-7 years now, Mr. Alex Tingle. Alex, how are you?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you having me on here. This is my podcast debut, so appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. If you get any value out of this podcast or out of any of our podcasts, please go and like and subscribe to our channels. Share this with somebody who you think that may get value out of this as well. And if you can leave a review, especially like on iTunes podcasts and stuff like that, that's a huge benefit for podcasters. It helps us get higher in the search engine so that people can find us, see us, and share us and so forth. And it just makes it easier for everybody to have a chance to kind of lock in like you guys do. Ironically, this episode of Champ Talk is brought to you by Pintail Property Services, and that's Alex's company right here. He's been he's had this business for 5-6 years.
End of 2020. Yep.
Perfect time to start, right?
Yeah, right.
And yeah, man. So let's dive in, dude. So it was funny because when I started SBY MMA, we were over at the other gym, and we were I was just more or less of a personal trainer that was training in the back of a fitness club, you know what I mean, and had a couple guys that we were just beating the hell out of each other, and a couple coaches, and started competing again, started building up some notoriety, and then it was time to make a leap, you know what I mean, time to get legit. So that's when roughly 6 years ago I started my LLC, and I went to one of our other sponsors, a person I respect a lot and is very successful, and asked her for a recommendation for an accounting firm. And she had, referred me to the company that you used to work for, and told me to ask for the owner. And then we sat down, I went and met. Now, this is a pretty prestige accounting firm here in, I don't mind dropping their name. I use them. It's PKS. Yeah. It's my accounting firm. It's who I use. It's been really good for me, and they're pretty prestige. They have a lot of they handle quite a few of heavy accounts that, to my understanding, and they're very reputable in the area. And she told me to ask for the man himself. You know what I mean? And so I did, and had a meeting with him. And of course, I'm in sweats and hoodies and looking like a little long-haired hippie hood rat. And at the time, people don't know this, but you're an accountant. You know what I mean?
Yep.
CPA. So at the time, you were, a year in with them?
Let's see. So that would have been what year? 2019, maybe?
2018, 2019, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I would have been there for a couple of years probably like 3 years if you include my internship. Mm-hmm. Yep. So I was licensed by then, and had definitely my feet were more than wet. I was deep in it by then. So,
but you were relatively young at that point. What were you, like 22?
Let's see. Yeah, that would have put me 22. Yeah, somewhere around there. Yep.
Yep. So, I think his name was John, and he was just like, yeah, well, my guy Alex is going to take care of this account, and so on and so forth. And it didn't bother me. I mean, I would have done the same thing. And so Alex, was what I got from it. You were very hungry and very determined, and very thorough and detailed with the way that you conducted business, your communication, all of the above. And we just kind of, and of course I'm asking all the fucking crazy questions that everybody asks of, what I mean, that you probably hear 1,000 times, but you're very detailed with it. You talked to me about everything. You talked me through everything, helped me build up a plan. And I just told you, well, here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And I think it was quick that you identified that I wasn't just the guy that was in sweats and kind of bullshit, and I had a little bit of my shit together.
For sure. I've tried really hard to not judge people by the way they look. And, I obviously some of the goals we talked about in that first meeting might have sounded a little lofty at the time, but I knew you were at least going to give it your best effort. And I knew, I knew you weren't just kind of, trying to hype yourself up. Like, I mean, I could definitely tell that there was something there. So, and
I think maybe I was a little bit,
naive.
Maybe, yeah. Absolutely. And I think I was a little bit underestimated probably by John at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. Just like, okay, prove it. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people take that stuff to heart. Like, oh yeah, he didn't want to do it. I mean, who am I, right?
Yeah,
I got to
yeah.
earn my right to the table, right?
Especially in that business too, because you have a lot of people who, do come in and kind of maybe don't really understand a lot and don't understand what they don't understand. And sometimes they do get into it and then realize how hard it's going to be. And then they don't keep pushing forward. So when you see a lot of that, I'm sure he probably was just thinking, oh, that might be you're just the next guy, coming through like that. So,
yeah. So, but you didn't, you had a little bit of curiosity, maybe intrigue, at least what you told me. And it was cool because, we built quite a little, professional relationship at that moment. And, you would help me out a lot. And then you started seeing my numbers and projections and how I was able to keep coming up with, in my opinion, and this is entrepreneurship 101, just unmeasurable things that I was able to accomplish and do with like limited to nothing happened. And, made some mistakes along the way, had some huge progressions along the way. But ultimately, that kind of led us down the road to you ended up making another decision about your career and tell us about
so
that.
I had I had been in the financial world for a while. I spent 4 or 5 years in the second half of my college career doing nothing but financial classes, and graduated, interned there, and worked there for probably 6 or 7 years. And I've always had a passion for that kind of stuff, but that job itself, I thought for a period of time that it was something I was going to do. When we first met, I was probably of the mindset of, tracking for partner. And I think they certainly, were hoping that I would get there. But I don't know if there was one particular day truly that I woke up and just was like, this might not be for me. But I would say over a period of time, I realized that it just wasn't exactly what I saw myself doing. I kind of just thought I had maybe a little bit more potential, and I didn't really know exactly what that was going to turn into. But as soon as I realized it, it was one of the hardest decisions of my life to leave what was, accountants are known for wanting to be in safe positions and hating change. I think pretty much everybody knows that, but
We do.
It was definitely something I thought on for a while, and I ultimately just decided to take the leap. And
what was that leap? So I know, but I want our listeners.
Yeah, sure. So I gave them a 3 or 4 month notice that I was going to be leaving, and I'm very glad that I did that. And I certainly didn't want to burn any bridges there. I valued my time there and learned a lot, and obviously made some great relationships that stemmed from there. But I gave them that heads up, and my expectation was that I was going to take 3 or 4 months, get everything wrapped up. And then I actually was planning on staying there part-time at the end of those 3 months. Like I was going to, kind of ease out and transition out. And that was coming towards the end of 2020. And I went on Thanksgiving vacation to Florida and came back. And I don't think I went back to the office for probably 4 or 5 months. I was doing a little bit here and there. Like if somebody had an issue with something, a client needed something that I already had, like I would kind of help fill the gap. But the transition ended up being a lot faster than what I thought it was going to be.
And that's when you decided to go all in on Pintail Property Services, correct?
Yeah.
So tell us about Pintail Property Services so our people can understand what that business is in a really, sum it up in a sentence or two.
What
do you do?
Yeah, what we do, we do property maintenance and fencing, outdoor construction work. We've got a sister company now, Pintail Construction, that focuses more on, remodels, additions, decking, patios, that kind of stuff. And the property service side is, leaning more into like commercial maintenance contracts, building maintenance. And like I said, we do a lot of fencing and security stuff too. We started out really a lot earlier than 2020. My brother and I started the bones of that company when we were teenagers. literally riding around my neighborhood, cutting grass. Yep. He kind of kept things going while I was in college and was at PKS and kind of thought that was the path that I was going to be on.
Now, not to cut you off, but you're, I'm saying this with all respect and humility. I know you won't accept this because I know how you are, but you're a bit of a kind of a child genius too, right? Like, I mean, you went to college like in high school, right?
I was actually 10 when I started.
10 years old.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
10
10 years old, you went to college.
I I pretty much walked out of 5th grade and walked into Warwick and started taking classes there.
So and this is why I wanted you on the show so bad. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I know these things, and you and I have talked many times, and we get into all the things like that. But I'm just so impressed by you, like as a human, right? And not because you're my friend or anything, but as a human, I'm so impressed by you because, you know, you're very unassuming, right? And what I mean by is you don't look like an accountant. You don't look like a childhood genius. You don't look like a construction worker or you know, we're average guy. You're average guys. You can look at me and you can be like, oh, that guy's probably got some shit with him, right? I'm not saying you grew up with a silver spoon, but you didn't have the comeback story like everybody thinks you have to become successful.
Sure.
And you know, hear me out, people. Like, this guy at 10 years old started college here locally. Then he turns around and has his life mapped out with a very risk assessment culture of, you know, let's mitigate risk. Let's not take any big gambles. We've got our plans. The numbers line up. The math lines up. This is what our trajectory is. You're you know, I'm assuming you're probably outworking and outpacing a lot of your colleagues, and nothing against them, but just because that's just the way you're designed by creation. So you're already, you know, an exceptional person with learning, exceptional person with work ethic. You know, you already have so many things going, and you have your path lined out for you. Didn't burn any bridges, you know, didn't view your career as a shithole or something you hated. You just said there was something else meant for you, and you go all in on fucking construction work. Right? Like, think about that. That's pretty remarkable to me, because, you know what I mean? Like, I know so many construction guys that will say one of two things, you know what I mean? Oh, I ain't no pencil pusher, you know, nerd, da da da. Or I wish I was a pencil pusher nerd. I hate what I'm doing. And you had basically, essentially, at a very, you know, in your early 20s, you made a decision to go all in on yourself, to go all in on a business that you enjoyed, and basically take a plunge and make the highest investment that anyone can ever make, and that's investing in yourself. Tell us about that part of it. Tell us what you were thinking when you decided that was, like, what were you envisioning when you said, hey, today's the day that I'm no longer going to return to PKS. I've already done my 3-4 months outside of it and come back now. Today's the day where I'm going on. How did you think this was going to work out?
Well, I think I'd actually take it a little further step back from that. I think the build up to that leap really actually started, maybe not when I was 10, but at some time between, in my teenage years for sure. You know, that investment into myself, you know, has really been something that I believed in really as long as I can remember. I mean, I was always, even when I was in school, I was taking extra classes I didn't have to for myself. You know, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with it, but, you know, I knew that I was going to, I just wanted to learn because I felt it was valuable. And
who was pushing you behind this? Was anybody, like, did you have your dad in your ear? Was this something of a combination of many things, a self-discovery thing? Who was pushing you to be exceptional the way that you were at such a young age?
That's a great question. My parents were obviously very supportive of me, and I wouldn't have been able to do what I did without them. I mean, they helped, you know, open that door a little bit for me, which I can't thank them enough for. But they weren't. I don't think they were overly pushy any more than any other parent. I mean, I think that in the same way the average parent expects their kids to get good grades, I think they were the same. I mean, they recognized in me something, you know, obviously young, that I was a little bit different, but to me, I try to put myself in their shoes, and I don't really know how they knew what the potential was, because I don't know that there was, I don't think there was like giant, you know, red flags that said, hey, this kid, you know, might have something to him, because really, you know, there's a lot of people who use that word genius, and I know how you mean it. But there's a lot of people who use that word genius with me. And to be honest with you, there's a bigger, the bigger part of it was hard work and discipline, not so much the genius. I mean, I still had to study. I still had to, take time to learn and invest in myself. In my opinion, a genius is somebody who doesn't it just comes natural to them. And I do learn quicker than others. I would say that is a trait of mine, is I can learn very fast, but it's not without effort. It's not, I'm not Rain Man. Like I'm not, I would much prefer be known for my work ethic and my discipline to sticking to things that I believe in. Then I feel like people use the genius thing as, to make themselves feel better, for not having the discipline and the work that it takes.
Dropping gems over here.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. You hear me talk this to my coach, to my team, or my fighters and things like this all the time. You take exceptional athletes, your elites, right? Your Michael Jordans, your Kobe Bryants, your Tom Brady's, right? And you take those guys and gals and you look at the way that their work ethics are, right? So for them, it might take them 500 reps to get what an elite athlete can do in 1,000, right? Not necessarily your icon or your legend or your superstar, but an elite athlete it'll take them 1,000 to 1,500 reps to master this technique, where it'll take, someone like, genius level like Jordan and like Tom Brady, 500, right?
Right.
And I asked my guys and gals, who has to work harder, right? And almost every one of them say the same thing. Well, obviously the elite athlete that's got to do more reps. And that's not true. They both have to work equally hard.
Yep.
They both have to equally put in the same amount of effort, discipline, and time. If anything, the elite or the superstar or the genius, so to speak, has a disadvantage, in my opinion, because they take for granted what they can learn so quickly or do so easily that the other person has to maybe spend more time working. But both of them have to work equally as hard, because, in the game of MMA or in the game of, wherever we're at right now, everybody's working hard.
Yeah.
Nobody's not working hard now,
sure.
right? When I was fighting, we knew that I was not the skilled athlete as many of these other guys who were lifelong martial artists and combat sports enthusiasts. We knew that we had to have more cardio than everybody else. I had a couple skills that I could rely on. We were working on some deficiencies, but I knew if I outworked everybody, then I had a good chance of winning. That's still the same now, but only to a degree. Right now, everybody's got good cardio. Everybody's got good fundamentals. The game has evolved, just like business, just like anything else has evolved. So I love what you said about that, because your geniusness, in my opinion, comes from understanding that you have the gifts and abilities, and then doubling down on your hard work and your work ethics. And I love that you said that's what you want to be remembered by, because that's what I know you as.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, I recognized all that really took for me. Obviously, I didn't know where I was going or what I was going to do, but I recognized the specialness to the opportunity that I had. And it really, I think the drive really came from that. It was like, if I don't take advantage of this as the best I can to get ahead, I've just wasted the opportunity that I was given. And
I got to cut you off, dude. And I got to cut you off. I hate to do that with guests, but that is the true definition, in my opinion, of a genius. Because to be so self-aware of saying that if I don't double down on this ability that I've been blessed with, then I'm an asshole, right? Because that's what you are. It's like taking the red pill and the blue pill. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? And the fact that you were able to recognize that at such a youthful age, have such insight, is what impresses me so much about you. Let's shift gears a little bit. You're an entrepreneur. You're accountant by trade. You know what I mean? Our relationship that we continued was, you were like, hey, man, I'm going to go ahead and help you with your books, because I don't like to do the boring stuff. I like to do the development stuff. And you have a very good talent and knack for that. And by the way, he's not for hire for that. But you have that ability to see, patterns and help grow efficiency and grow, things, the business itself, instead of just manage numbers and do the boring things. And I was going to make a joke. That's probably when he decided that he was going to stop doing accounting, when he had to do my taxes at the end of the year. But no, all seriousness, right? So you're an accountant by trade. You know what I mean? You know numbers, okay? You understand how decimals work and how margins work and how to, grow huge profits over the course of, long term, all that good stuff, right? That we're not going to bore our listeners with because they don't, want to know numbers. Shame on y'all entrepreneurs out there. Why? All right, well, let me back up. I know it's not about money with you. That's the crazy thing that I know by having such a relationship with you and getting to know you for the past 6 years. I know that you got into property services and landscaping and construction. You were already doing it, but you decided to double down on that, not because of money, because Lord knows that is a very difficult industry to make money at consistently, not impossible. Why? Why did you get into that? What made you say that was going to be your calling for the time being?
Well, I've always felt like kind of a black sheep, no matter what room I'm in, no matter if I'm in, like I was a little bit of a black sheep at the accounting firm because, obviously I was a little bit more hands-on.
Fingernails were dirty.
Yeah. Fingernails were dirty. I mean, I literally would leave work at 6 o'clock during tax season and go and put a fence up or do whatever. And I was always the guy they called to, fix the light bulb or fix the toilet or whatever. Like I was the on-call handyman pretty much while I was there. So I definitely didn't fit in with the typical pencil pusher there. But, I've also got, I've got friends that are farmers. I've got friends that are, very they've never been to college. And I fit in.
That do very well for themselves.
Yeah, that do very well for themselves. Yeah. And I like hanging out with them, but I also sometimes feel like a little bit of a black sheep there too, because we'll be hanging out, having a couple beers, and I want to start talking about numbers, and, it goes right over their head. So I've always kind of felt a little bit different than most, but I really lean more towards the blue collar, the blue collar people, honestly. I think it could have been really any trade in the blue collar world, but I've just been drawn that direction. And in my time at PKS, I kind of really found, I saw the need for, there's a lot of really good blue collar guys out there and women who do really good work, but they don't have the financial knowledge that I've got. And so, I don't know that I actually put all the dots together at the time, but what I've found since I've left there is I really like taking people who are good at their work and adding my knowledge to them and really just, letting them go crazy. And that really, I think I'll probably continue getting into a lot of other blue collar work. It could be, really anything. I like those types of people. I found I have really good, genuine relationships with those people. I want to be friends with somebody who can, like you said, go get your hands dirty when you need to, but also clean up and go to a nice dinner. Mm-hmm. And, those are kind of like the people that I've been drawn to, and the people that we've got working for us now really all fit into that group. They're just, it's awesome. I mean, everybody has a good time for the most part. I mean, it's definitely been the best part of it is getting those people together all around on common cause. And I think I could have done it in a more white collar setting, but it just wasn't as me, as much my style. So I think kind of how you and I talk sometimes, I find some of the common ththings that white collar people enjoy more of. Like when I do it for too long, I kind of find myself getting a little too comfortable, and I'm like, this isn't quite, I don't know. That might change, I guess, as I get a little older, but I just,
So what you're saying is, you have these likes and dislikes on both ends of, there's some things that you like in, white collar world, blue collar world, dislike in white collar world, dislike in blue collar world. And for you, it moves the needle to be able to take, your quote unquote white collar knowledge and apply it to a blue collar world. And let's keep in mind, you're in your work pants right now. Yeah. So this isn't like you're sitting behind the desk and holding webinars, right? You're hands on, you're in the field, you're getting dirty.
I think that's a big part of it too, was I like a good mix of, I've still stare at a computer a pretty good bit, but I also I like to be outside. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, I'm not a computer screen 90 hours a week kind of guy.
Yeah,
So,
no, I love that, man. That's why I asked why, is like, because I know it's not about the money.
yeah.
But I also know the conversations that, well, let's back up. Alex and myself and another one of our guests we're going to have on the show, in a few weeks, and a couple other people are in this mastermind we've created. And we meet every other week and have breakfast, and we talk business, and we talk about what works in our industries and their industries. And it's been probably one of my favorite meetings that I have, on a monthly basis, because of just the authenticity, the openness, the lack of judgment on both ends. Like a lot of entrepreneurs and people are designed to not want to celebrate their wins, right? So we are scared to tell anybody that we're winning or we did this, where in that group we encourage that high five and praise and all the things, right? And having that mastermind has been a great void filler for me, because I get to learn things to do in your industry, and a couple of our friends' industry, and apply it for my industry, right? So, we're just sharing knowledge and ideas. And in those meetings that we've had, I've heard the things that you want and have done for your people, you know what I mean? To set up their futures, to look at future investments, to give them opportunity to make passive income, and and set up some sort of retirement plan, not necessarily fitting the 401k or the standardized retirement plan, quote unquote. So I know that it's not about money for you, and I know that it's a real passion about really getting dirty, getting in the mix of things, and sharing knowledge. And by no means does any of this shit, you can correct me if I'm wrong, come easy to you. Like, this is not something where you just wake up and say, oh yeah, I'm going to go to work today and it's going to be work. I mean, I've heard some of the horror stories. What, without giving too much details or too many, without giving up things that are sensitive information, you've been all in on Pintail Property Services for what now, 4 years now?
Yeah, about.
Like,
yeah.
where you just completely said, let's rock, and we're going to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And on a percentage level, what percentage do you think you've grown as a company from the time, from 4 years to now, and maybe even from last year to this year? I know these numbers, and if you don't want to share them, it's fine. But if you could give us an idea of, how much, our company grew 30%, you know what I mean, 40%, whatever, so that they could tell the other
Sure.
entrepreneurs that are worried about going in on themselves and the fears of entrepreneurship and all that stuff, what it looks like. Because again, you have a very unique story.
Yeah.
You have a very unique story where you didn't have to do this, right?
Yeah.
And you're not doing it for money. So you've got a good why behind you. What does that look like for our listeners?
Well, when I left, the numbers really didn't even add up, to be honest with you. I had some money saved up that got blown through pretty quickly, and what we were doing when I left wouldn't have supported myself and my brother, really probably either one of us just individually. But since that time, and really we were doing, for the fact that I was basically working after hours, we were still doing a pretty good bit of work, but we just weren't, it like you said in the beginning, it's tight margins. You have to know your stuff and be full in on that type of business to be able to make money. So we were doing work. We just weren't really making a whole lot of money. But we've 20 times to where we were at when I left, and we've maintained, I don't know exactly, but I mean, I would say 30 to 40% growth. Wow. Year over year. I think, this year might be a little bit more percentage wise, but it's really, I add some fuel to the fire, but without obviously the people around me to be able to do it. It's not just all me. So,
how many employees do you have?
We got,
around
20 right now.
20 employees. Wow. Mm-hmm. And you started just you and your brother.
Yep.
Yeah. Incredible. 4 years.
Yep.
Incredible. Yeah, I think that's remarkable, man, because, we've had a down economy in a lot of ways. Everybody's feeling the pinch, man. They have felt the pinch, especially in 2023. 2022 wasn't really better of a year either. 2022, and especially 2024, I forget what year we're in. It's just been rough for a lot of industries, a lot of people. And, you've continued to grow and move forward, and you've helped me grow and move forward. You help everybody around you. And I just think that's a great quality. And if you want to ask me what I think that helps you move the needle so much is all of your skills, all of your talents, your work ethic, absolutely. But I just think the selflessness of you and the way that you serve not only your clients but you're selfless to your employees, man. I know that for a fact that they've gotten paid before you have. I know that for a fact that you've went without, you know what I mean? I know some things about you that we're not going to share with our viewers that, you are accepting of, where some of your employees, when you look at it from the outside in, have a way better setup than you do, right? In a couple of different ways. And I admire the fuck out of that, man, because that's, to me, that's what true leadership and true success is. You know what I mean? True leadership and true success, although we're not where we want to be. And we, and each mountain we climb, we're looking at the next mountain, to climb. We hardly ever sit back and pat ourselves on the back and say, wow, I did a thing. But the leadership in that regards to being able to lead men and women and help feed families and have the thoughts of what your people, your guys and gals are going to do for the holidays, are going to do for their futures, are going to do for work. It's remarkable, man. And I think that goes a long way on why your business is flourishing and why you continue to grow the way that you do. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I personally can't really see doing it any other way. And I don't know why you would spend your time. Like, I see some people who feel like they need to lead with an iron fist all the time. And, it's not my style. I know some people have really been very successful doing that and certainly making a lot more money than I am. But, I feel like a lot of those cases, sometimes like people will build like a house of cards where like you've got what you think is loyalty, but the moment that something inconvenient happens, that house of cards kind of comes apart. And I feel like we've built a really good foundation of good people who like, I mean, I could call any one of those guys at 3:00 in the morning with any kind of problem. I mean, I could bury bodies with pretty much anybody I've got, I think. Yeah. And I just, that's the fun of it, really. I mean, if you have to, go around and stand over everybody's shoulder, and be the guy that's always right. Like, I don't know how you have any fun at all doing that. And if you're not having fun doing it, then there's plenty of other ways that you can make money, and probably more money for most people than running a business.
Well, that's the insecurity of people. A lot of people who rule like that have the insecurities. Now, I do think that there will be and when you and I have talked about this, I do think that there's a changing of the guards where, once you get to a certain level in business, you know what I mean, levels that we're not at yet, you know what I mean? I think that there is a very shrewdness and a harshness that you have to carry. Sure. But I don't think that's necessarily with your people. I think that's with, you know what I mean, some of the decisions that you have to make as a CEO. And I think that's also with other people in the businesses in competition that you have to do when you're making deals and when you're doing other things. But for where we're at, and I love what you said, it's getting the buy-in of your people, and it's sharing the vision of your people and constantly letting them know that, what they mean to the company and where they fit and what the role they fit in to the company as well. Not everybody's motivated by money. Not everybody's motivated. Some people are just want to hear that they get a good job.
For sure.
Right?
Especially today.
Correct. Yeah. And being able to recognize that as a leader and as a business owner, that's a critical part of success, because if you're not focusing on your people and what moves the needle to get them to want to come to your place of business every single day, then what you're doing is you're going to keep trading out that employee with every 6 months to 2 years and having to rehire, retrain, reinvest, all the things that you kind of, had to do when you have really solid people. And I'm a firm believer that if you have a really solid 6 or 7, you can make them an 8 or 9, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you have a 3 or 4, you're going to have a hard time making that person a 6 or 7, just because a lot of times the 3 or 4s, it's not about capacity. It's not about capability. It's about attitude and what they want to do with themselves.
100%.
Yeah. And I know that your retention rate, I know some of the guys that work for you, and your retention rate, you keep a lot of your people. Yeah. They don't go sniffing around for a dollar raise. They show up to work. They want to be at your business. They want to show up to them. And they are the most important people of your business, because they're the ones that keep the things going and keep the doors open. So it's incredible with that regards. What do you plan on? What do you see Pintail in the next 2 to 5 years? What does that look like for you?
I mean, I would like to keep growing. We've got, like I mentioned, a couple of different divisions, and I'd like to keep growing as much as I feel like we can maintain quality and maintain, what we've got so far. And, a lot of what we've talked about at our breakfast has been, getting standard procedures and getting your operations dialed in to where we can start copy and pasting, what we're doing. And I think that's certainly in my plans. I've got, two other partners that, we need to, that are in on that discussion as well. But I'm certainly, very hungry and want to keep pushing forward for as long as, for when it comes to growth, I've been of the mindset of I want to lean into it, but I don't want to push so hard that you're moving too fast. So I think you have to be careful about taking on too much at one time. And you and I have talked a lot about about that too.
We're gonna edit this part out.
But
me?
but I mean, yeah, I think part of my problem, I was just talking to Sarah about this last night. Part of my problem is I still don't see any limits on, like, I don't feel the need to put a limit on what we're doing because it's still limitless. Like, I feel like we can do anything that we really want to do. So, I'd like to continue finding, more really good tradespeople, partnering up with them, giving them what I have to offer and letting them, be able to do stuff that they can't do on their own. So
I don't think that's a problem. I think that with that mind, that's expansion, and that's seeing, things. That's just seeing, man. That's just seeing massive potential in the capabilities and what could happen, man. I don't think that's a problem at all. That's one of the things with me is I share the same mindset. It's like, bro, like, there's no limit to what we can do.
Yeah.
We literally can do whatever the fuck we want to do.
Yeah.
And, obviously within ethics and well, really, you can do whatever you want either way if you want to go to jail or, lose things. But, within ethics and within reason, we're not limited or bound by any kind of limitations. We can do whatever we want to do. It's falling into that box of the narrow-minded thinking and I'm the big fish and I'm, there's nothing better or bigger than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the biggest problems I've had is being, the guy for so long. I had to get into rooms and I had to do things that cost me money or very inconvenient that do not always, work well with my schedule. But at the same time, it just helped me grow so much and see so many different things because not everybody's is going to go to college at 10 years old or, and that's not saying that good, bad, or different. That was your journey.
Yeah.
Not everybody will have, a pathway that is so clear to them or insightfulness. Sometimes a lot of people have to make mistakes and hit some huge hardships to finally wake up and say, shit, I can do bigger and better things that I want to do, or my life is limitless. And you know what I mean? To be able to have that mindset and the people around you to give you that kind of mindset, like your employees have with you.
Yeah.
You wish you could tell them and shake their head and say, look how good you have it. But you really, they really do have it good to have a leader like you to be able to bring that advancement in thinking and in knowledge. You said you want to grow more. What does that entail? Like when you say limitless, like what would you ultimately like to see in the next 2 to 5 years with your business without having to share too much of strategy and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to finish getting I would like, our current location to get as dialed in as it possibly can, just well-oiled machine, able to function, without me there. And then the moment we've got that, I want to take, a couple of those people and, go a couple hours in each direction and just kind of start more. I mean,
and you're what, 25, 26?
27.
27 years old.
Yeah. I mean,
incredible, man. Incredible.
There's a lot of opportunity and there's a lot of people who are the same exact way of the people that I've already brought on. They're just really good people looking for a home. And I mean, as long as I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, I mean, I don't see any reason to slow down or back off. I mean, I think it's only going to get, better from here on out. I mean, it doesn't matter what trade you look at. There's way more people leaving than people coming in. And I mean, I think it's just going to happen in a natural way. And, like I said, I've focused so hard on building a good core group of people so that, when when we're there, I can go and start, building other really good groups of people. I mean, like I said, until I'm, at a point where I'm ready to just, kick back and relax, which I might be never, but, I mean, that's what I want to do.
That's awesome, man. I love that, dude. And it just fires me up thinking about that. You've gotten a bit into personal development the past few years since we've been, chopping it up, man. And now you're even in the gym and hired a trainer, and you've really taken that side of, your life serious. I know you were running for a little bit and then you started lifting. And what's that done for your business?
It has, I mean, even more than the business, I think it's just given me even more mental growth than I've already had. Like, for when I was younger and kind of going through that odd experience, obviously, like I said, I've been somebody who has wanted to invest in themselves mentally for a long time, but you don't realize, and you're not taught by anybody, the importance of the physical side of things and how much it contributes to your mental side of things. And what did it for me, I think I heard on a podcast somewhere or something, the single line that did it for me was your brain consumes like 35% of the calories that you eat. And if you start feeding your brain crap, then you're just going to get crap output. And, it was that. I heard that actually right at the time that I was still at the accounting job. And you and I had talked about that. But I mean, I think I was eating probably 4 or 5 lunches a day. I mean, it was, I almost built up a reward system that was solely based around food while I was there. And I mean, I was probably 30, 40 pounds heavier than I am now. I was really unhealthy there for a while, felt bad every day. And I kind of had that realization about the same time that I was taking that leap, to leave that old job. And it's been, I don't think you can have the energy to go and do all the stuff I've got to do in a day if you're not healthy. And it's hard to make time for it sometimes. And I there's times where I slack and there's times where I'm on top of it. But I think that you have to try to stay on the horse and keep getting back on the horse. It's really about just trying to make that effort to stay healthy because, it doesn't really matter how many companies you got or how much money you got. Like if you're, 60 and can't move, it really doesn't matter. So,
trading your health for wealth in the beginning and then ended up trading your wealth for your health in the end.
For sure.
I love that, man. And I think that's so awesome that you've had that. And, man, I just love you, bro.
I love you too, man.
I'm so proud of our friendship and our relationship, and I'm very proud of you. You know what I mean? Is the man and the leader that you are, because you're one of those exceptional people, man, that you come across very few times in life, man. And that's why I was very excited to get you on the show, because I know you and we've shared some stuff, and we're growing a good friendship and relationship over time. And I know you, but I think that other people, I thought it would be good that other people got to see the human side and the just the intimate side of who you are, because, I firmly believe that you're going to do some great things in this world, man. I think that you're going to, whenever, whether it be in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, 50s, or even 60s, I think that you're going to impact this world in a way that, it needs more Alex Tingles, and it needs more people like yourself. And I love that you do it through, you do it through helping with accounting and people build their businesses and help stay legal. And I love that you do it through construction. I love it that you're looking to help consult and all the things, man, just all the things, man. I'm so appreciative of our friendship, man, and grateful of you and proud of you and happy that, you're that we're on the same team, man.
I feel the same way. You've taken an interesting role, I think, for me, because as you said, most people kind of look at me and they feel like they don't have anything they can tell me that I don't already know, and it's just not true. And you pretty much kicked that to the curb, and you've introduced a lot of new ideas to me, and we've had conversations in a way that 50% of it I might not feel like applies to me at the time, or I might be past that stage, or I just might straight up disagree with. But there's stuff that's really hit home, and there's been stuff that has made me think about things that then, those, thoughts thereafter turn into something really impactful. And I think, it's really important to have people around you who will push you. But, I'm sure you feel the same way when you are kind of the guy, and we're all like, we're obviously different, to the people who kind of consider us the guy to talk to. But when you are that person, people don't really challenge your thoughts as much. They don't, I don't know. Like sometimes you don't have somebody pushing you. So I've really appreciated that about our friendship. And I try to, play the devil's advocate role with you as much as I possibly can. Even if I don't believe what I'm saying, I know I'm challenging you to
you
think.
give me that other, yes, 100%. I was going to say that, man. Thank you for those kind words. But I was going to say that, man. I think it's more about the people disagreeing with you and challenging you, and you do that all the time. Pisses me off sometimes. Like, damn it, Alex, please just agree with me. But it's the needed thing, and dude, that's what makes our friendship in this relationship so special, is because that to me is true. That's where you're really building and growing a solid foundation, when you have somebody that you respect, care, like, you need all the above, and then they disagree with you and they challenge you, man, because I think you can agree. I don't want to be the guy.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the, like, I just want to kind of hang out. I want to build the guy. I want to make the guy. So, all right, man. Well, we're gonna close this out. Where can we find you? What can we do? Who do you offer services to? Where can we find you? What links, call numbers, all the above? Let our listeners know so that they can kind of get up with you.
Yeah. If anybody interested, you can check out pintaildmv.com. We're based out of Salisbury, but we'll go hour and a half in all directions from there. Maryland, Delaware, Virginia. Any kind of work that you guys are looking for, we'd be happy to help, really, whether it's basic repairs and maintenance, or full-on remodels and additions. If it's something we're not comfortable doing, I've probably got a good referral for you for somebody that can help you. So,
and you guys, for those that have been to SBY, you were responsible for doing the fencing out here.
Yeah.
So fencing looks beautiful. You guys really went above and beyond for that. The price was very, very competitive, and the quality was there. You guys came back and redid it. You did it yourself. The challenges that we had to get that done after hours. There were so many things that went down with that.
Yeah.
And that thing's hanging in there really well. And
yeah.
you also did the fencing at Millsboro Pure, correct?
Yep.
For the basketball court?
Yep. Yeah. The fencing in these gyms definitely take a beating. So sometimes it takes a couple of callbacks to get it right, but it seems like it's holding up all right so far. So
absolutely. Well, Alex, thank you for being on our show, man. I really appreciate it. Guys, check out Pintail Property Services for any of your landscaping, construction, fencing needs, consultation. He points you in the right direction. But that'll do it for this episode of Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. Guys, like always, what are you doing today to become a champion?